Hey everybody, good morning. We're back with another Sunday show as per planned, usual. This series of Addicted to Gear is not brought to you by any sponsor. This is a totally free public service announcement. I hope you guys appreciate the fact that you're getting unsolicited information here. um, I'm playing my Harley Benton today. This is a fusion guitar that it's called the Pro Series. In case you guys were guessing what I'd be playing today or holding today, this guitar I've had, I don't know, over 5 years now. It's been holding up really, really well, guys. The Pro Series of Harley Benton, and again, this is not a commercial. This is just my own information to you guys. This guitar, the Pro Series, I have this one and a Pro Series 2 back there. Really great guitars. I highly recommend them, especially for the price. This guitar has remained, I would say, largely unchanged, except I did change the pickups. I know you guys are probably going to laugh at me, but you know how I am. I can't leave well enough alone. I tried to, upgraded the pickups to Jalen pickups about 5 years ago. And Jalen, I don't know if you guys know the manufacturer, the company. They're not a big organization at all. They're relatively small. I think you could only get these pickups from, I think they sell them on Facebook or I'm not even sure where they're selling them anymore now. Let me check this out for you guys. Reverb, yeah. So they do have a Reverb store, Jalen, Jalen. They have a lot of really nice pickups. They mostly focus on humbuckers, although they do have a couple of, I think they have one model that is called the Crossroads Strat Set, which is aged white single coils. They don't have any Telecaster pickups. They mostly focus on humbuckers. And the reason why I stumbled on these pickups to begin with was because I was watching a couple of YouTube videos back in the day, and there was David Lee Roth had gone on tour alone, solo, and he had a guitarist that was playing Eddie's parts. And I watched a couple of videos on him because he's really, really good. And he mentioned that he's using the Jalen pickups in his guitars. So I had to check them out. And I ended up getting a set, and I'm really happy with them. So they stayed in. I haven't changed them at all. I was a little bit reluctant to put covers on these. I was thinking maybe open would look better. But I was inspired by Pete Thorne, because Pete Thorne has a Sir guitar. Kind of looks like this. Color is a little bit different, but he does have covered humbuckers on his as well. So I said, you know what? Why not do the same? And I'm glad I did. I pulled this off my wall this morning because I haven't played it in a while. Plugged it into my Amp Academy Stomp. Dialed up a JCM 800 lead solo sound. And it basically was pretty much in tune after quite a while that I haven't played it. So I was very impressed. The only thing is I can't find the trem arm. I hate when that happens. I put it somewhere. I don't know where it ended up. But anyway, it'll pop up eventually. So that's what I'm playing today, guys. So welcome aboard, everyone. Thank you for joining me. This show is number... what number is it? Oh, I changed the message, if you notice, at the bottom of my screen. Now it's scrolling, so you have to pay attention. So it's show number 275. Last week we had a special guest. David joined us, and we had a good time talking with him. We'll eventually do another guest show appearance. We won't do them every week. We'll spread them out a little bit, and from time to time, we'll have some guests in the show, and it'll be fun. I had a great time with David. I hope he enjoyed himself too. It's always easy, or at least easier for me, to be able to do these shows when I'm talking to someone as opposed to talking to myself. But it is what it is. All right, let me put this up here. I did a little house cleaning since the last time as well. And I have a couple of new things we will talk about today as well. And it'll be a good show. I'm feeling optimistic. So welcome everybody. Let's say good morning to the folks that are already in the show. And again, I think YouTube changed some of the names. I don't know why that is, but some of you have names that change, some of you don't. I don't know what's going on. But we have Vox here, ZD351, NFM, Mean Gene Cali, Mark is here, Mark Johnson Jams. We have Music and Gear, The Nye, Cushman, New York City. So the names are slightly different. And I'll try and answer your questions. You guys already are jumping in with a lot of cool questions. If you guys don't already know, please put a question mark. If you're new, put a question mark so I spot your question and I know it's directed towards me and not a group question. And if you're new, guys, don't be shy, okay? We don't bite. The show is going to last about an hour and a half, something like that. So if you're new, jump right in, okay? You have to be subscribed to chat, guys. Don't forget, okay? So just subscribe if you're new, and you'll be able to chat. Otherwise, the system will block you. Okay, so let's start off with Rex. Rex says, good morning, Tony and everyone. Hope you're doing well. Tackling a 12-string electric string change today and experimenting with Beatles cover songs. Video this week. Cool, man. Yeah, it's never fun to restring a 12-string acoustic guitar. I can vouch for that. Never fun because, tuning is a pain. You have to pay particular attention to what you're picking and tuning. And it does take a while for those strings to stretch. So it's a long process. Not fun. I don't envy you, Rex. But hang in there, man. You'll get through it, I'm sure. And of course, the Beatles cover songs are always fun. What songs in particular are you going to be tackling with that 12-string? I love playing 12-string guitars because they have a natural chorus effect when you're strumming chords. Sounds really, really nice. Although they are a challenge if you're not used to playing one. I don't know how many here have tried playing a 12-string. Give me a show of hands if you have one or have tried one. It is a challenge. Paul says 12 centimeters of snow. Yeah, man, we're expecting some here too as well. Really sucks. But it's the reality, man. We're in getting close to the middle of November, so hopefully this winter won't be too rough, Paul. We'll check in with one another here every once in a while and see how things are going. But yeah, we're expecting snow coming. I got to put my winter tires on my car. Haven't done it yet. The deadline here is December 1st, but most people put them on earlier. I'm expecting to do that this week. So Profile Productions guessed that I would be playing a Super Strat today. Pretty close. I would consider this kind of like a Super Strat, wouldn't you? I mean, do you consider a Super Strat like a Strat with a humbucker and 2 single coils, or does a Strat style guitar with 2 humbuckers also qualify? I think it does. Profile is also asking me, do I have a Gibson? I know you have a Tokai. Yeah, Profile. I do have. I have a couple of Gibsons right now. Why do you ask? If you guys got anything new this week, please let us know. The color on this guitar is It is kind of nice. It's kind of a chameleon color because depending on what it's reflecting, it kind of changes a little bit. You put it in the light, it kind of does flip flop, and it has little sparkles in it. So I really like it. Vox says he acquired gear this week. Strings for my nylon string slotted head classical guitar, changed strings, and arg, just shoot me. What's the problem here? What happened? You don't sound pleased with your string change experiment. What's going on, Vox? Elaborate for us here. Mark is asking me, do you like Dr. Z amps? They just came out with 10 watt a 10 watt PhD amp. Mark, I've been keeping my eye on Dr. Z amps for a long time. I've always been intrigued by them. However, I've never owned one. So I really couldn't say whether or not I would get along with them. You don't really see them on the used market in my area that much because they are, boutique type amplifiers. I'd be willing to try one. I don't know what the 10 watt version that they just came out with is supposed to be. It's called a PhD. Let me just see here. I know that they usually the Dr. Z amps are not very complicated in the sense that usually the circuit is pretty straightforward. There's not a whole lot of bells and whistles or switching or dual channels or all that kind of stuff. All right, so I'm looking at that information, and it seems like it's a single class A amp. And so they mention like hearing the opening bends of Joe Walsh and the James Gang Staple Funk 49, a huge tone that was recorded with a tiny 5 watt Tweed Champ amp. Dr. Z followed his ears in his latest offering, the PhD. So basically it's a single power tube, single ended amp. And I guess it's kind of like his version of a Champ. Maybe a little bit more power because the Champ only had 5 watts of power. So it seems like he's up that to 10, and I guess still tried to keep the flavor of those early Champs. Interesting. I got to check it out. It's basically, from what I can see, it's just a master, volume, tone, and just tone, volume, master. That's it. So a pretty simple amplifier. Seems very cool. It's amazing to me how Fender got it right back then. The only issue I have with the amplifier is that it's here in Canada, at least, it's $2,399. Whereas if you just go and get yourself a Champ, probably a lot less. That's always the rub. It's always the price for whatever reason. Okay, let's ZD351 says, Tony, I only realized a few weeks ago that I haven't bought any gear since my last guitar purchase on the 30th of December. Now I'm panicking. What should I do? Don't panic. Don't panic. We're here to help you, dude. There's plenty to look at and to get. And good news, Black Friday is on the way, right? Okay, first of all, we got to talk about that. Anybody here spotted any cool Black Friday deals that they can share with us? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people here like ZD351 who's panicking right now, who's got the itch. Could you guys help us out? Let us know what's if there's anything cool out there. I got a couple of new toys already this week, so I'm okay for now. Vox says with amps, if you hit the $2,500 mark, You might as well go with a Morris Custom. Yeah, there's a lot of choice when you get to the $2,000 mark. I agree. And guys, it's always been um, like I love. Hey, Charles, nice to see you, buddy. Um, it's always been, you know, I always prefer. I love amps. Okay, don't get me wrong. I love them. I have a few behind me here. Um, but when you're dropping $2,500 on one amplifier, the issue is like if you're playing in a band and you have unlimited budget, no problem. Go out and buy whatever you want. However, if you're playing at home mostly, uh, maybe you're not playing professionally or anything like that. An amp that costs $2,000 you can't buy every day. So instead of spending $2,500 on an amp where you have one sound, my opinion is go out and get yourself the latest Fractal, Kemper, Quad Cortex, whatever you want. And I'm pretty sure that sound will be in there. And if it's not in there, it'll be pretty close to dial it. You'll be able to dial it up. And you have a lot more flexibility. If you have an unlimited budget, hey, go out and buy as many amps as you want, man. It doesn't, I'm not going to stop you there. But it's getting to me anyways, it's getting to the point where the technology is getting so good that, once you're playing in a live space, most people wouldn't be able to tell what you're playing through. So, it's really up to you. Cool Tune says, heard of car amps, tried it in the USA, really good. Yeah, the car amps are really good as well. Those are also boutique. I came really close to pulling the trigger on one of those car amps back not that long ago, actually. I've been keeping my eye on those as well. They make really cool amplifiers, really, really top-notch stuff. However, I can't get my head around the cabinets. One of the hallmarks of the car amps are the cabinets, and they use it as a selling point, saying that all of the amps are uniquely designed and they have a special guy coming up with the amp stylings. However, I don't like them. They look a little bit too far out, and because of that, it stopped me from buying one. It's almost like the headstock on the old Epiphones. I would have bought one a long time ago if the headstock wasn't so ugly on the old ones. So now the car amps is kind of doing the same thing. I'll share my screen with you. You can get an idea. So here are car amps, and you'll see what I mean. Like some of them are passable. Like this one is okay in my opinion. I mean, it's not that bad. This one, borderline. But the ones that look like toilet seats, I don't like. I just give me a regular cabinet. Am I the only one who feels this way? I don't know. I mean, some people like it because they're unique. They look unique. But in my opinion, is like keep it simple. And I think maybe you'll be appealing to more people. Maybe it's just me, guys. I don't know. Hey, David, nice to see you, man. The system changed your name. Now it's Dayamaski71. But yeah, it was fun having you on the show, dude. Anytime you want to come back, we'll do it again sometime. I was just talking about that at the beginning of the show. So we'll have guests on from time to time. No problem. I really enjoyed having an opportunity to talk to somebody live. It's always more fun than talking to yourself. Hey, Mazzetti, what's going on, dude? Thanks, Dr. Kramer. Thanks for reminding people to hit the thumbs up button. I do appreciate that. Cool Tune says he bought 2 acoustics last couple of months after selling my D28. Very happy with my replacement. So Cool Tunes, remind me and the group, what did you replace your D28 with? First of all, the D28 is an awesome guitar, so I don't know why you ended up selling it. but I guess you had your reasons, and you bought two new ones. So let us know what you ended up replacing the D28 with, and what you were looking for. What didn't you like about the D28, by the way? Because most people are like searching for those guitars, you know. Daniel says thoughts on all the goop car uses to stabilize components. Uh, I mean, what can I say about that? I mean, if he's using goop, I don't know if it's the real reason is to stabilize the components, or perhaps just to make sure nobody's messing around with them. Not really sure. I don't think you really need goop like that, but I know some companies do like to use that. I mean, it's not just car. I know that a couple of amps that I had, when you look inside the caps, they have these goop. Hold on a second. I think I have to sneeze. I hate when that happens. It's like on the verge. Oh, went away. Ooh, I hate that. It must be dust or something. A lot of people will use them on the capacitors, and they'll kind of hot glue them in. There must be a reason, but a lot of people don't do that. I guess it's also for microphonics. You don't want to have things vibrating inside the chassis and stuff like that. I mean, if he does it, there's a reason. I'm sure he's a good amp builder. He knows what he's doing. So it wouldn't necessarily bother me all that much because I don't really need to go inside the amps that frequently anyways. So it is what it is. All right. Oh. So Daniel says that I think a home player has a lot more options because they don't have to tote the amp around on a frequent basis. Oh yeah, absolutely. I hurt my back again this week, guys. I don't know what I did. I didn't do anything crazy. I just basically bent over to pick something up, hurt my back again. So, for me to have to lug things around, I'm getting tired of that. And I'm going to things like this now, this little amplifier, and I'll do a review of this amplifier soon. This is a Joyo Zombie 2. This thing kicks it, man. I was playing this thing the other day, and I know you won't believe me, but I'll show you in a video or something. This thing is sort of a rectifier, let's say similar to a rectifier from Mesa Boogie, okay? This little thing, it's like a little baby amplifier. It's like crazy, but it's 20 watts. One tube, 20 watts. I was playing it against that guy, which is the Studio Classic 800 by Marshall. Through that cabinet, sounded freaking huge. And I'm like, this thing, it's a joke. It looks like a toaster, but it sounds great. And I'm like, I don't have a rectifier. I don't intend to buy a rectifier or anything like that, but it's cool to have something that would scratch that itch. That does it. So take my word for it, guys. Things are, there's a lot of choices, and it's a little embarrassing to show up at a gig with something like that because it's so small. It's not a man's amplifier, maybe, but it does the job, and it's crazy. Excuse me. Yeah, man, that's the funny thing. Plugging this little guy into the 4x12 cabinet, it's like it reminds me of Beetlejuice. Remember the Beetlejuice movie when you see the guy with the shrunken zombie head? That's what it looks like when I have that on the Marshall. It's just funny. Anyway, I should do a comparison side by side on these things. Because a lot of people won't believe me, but it's funny. Cool Tunes says he was never able to completely bond with the D28, but was it more of a sound thing, Cool Tunes? Was it a feel thing? I'm just trying to understand. And what did you get? Shane says it's not the size, but the motion in the ocean. I guess it is. Jean-Pierre is, by the way, JP, your name's changed as well. Now it's Jean-Pierre and your last name, Thibodeau 7201. Saying, any forthcoming plans to visit your studio? I'm not sure what you mean. I am in my studio. You mean to tour the studio? To do a tour or something like that? Vox says, I play my Valve Junior through my 4x12 a lot. Sounds fantastic. Yeah, man. But looks ridiculous. Okay. Don't worry about the looks, man. It's cool. You know what? If worse comes to worse, you hide it behind the cabinet. You know? Hide it behind the cabinet and then just pretend you're playing through the head. You know, like they do in the concerts, you know, when they're not actually playing through the Marshall stacks and they have some little amplifier underneath the stage. Do the same thing. People will think you're playing through that, you know? And at the end of the day, let them believe what they want. You know what I mean? That's crazy. All right. Dan Smith says, just sold my Gibson Gold Top P90 for an Epiphone Les Paul Custom. Gibby was killing my back, he says, and spent most of its life in the coffin. Played my River End dirt bike Royal more anyways. So that Gibson Gold Top, Dan, what year was that? Was that like a recent one? Was that an old one? You don't usually see people swapping from Gibson to Epiphone, but I guess more and more people are doing it. I guess. Maybe the Epiphone stuff is getting better. The P90s are definitely a little bit different in terms of you know, what the sound you can get from it. So maybe, you know, if you're swapping it out for another guitar because you don't like the P90s, I understand that. But you know, gold tops are very nice. I love gold top guitars. On my end this week, a couple of new toys. First of all, I don't know if you noticed, I'm playing through different headphones today. Usually I have the Sennheisers, which are open headphones, so I get to hear more of the room. Now I got a pair of headphones here that are closed, because when I do record stuff, I do get bleed from the headphones. You actually hear it in the microphone when I'm playing, when I'm trying to record through a microphone or something like that in a quiet room. You do actually get bleed. So this is much better closed. These are great. This is a great option as well. I'll do a review on these eventually. So I'm happy with the results of that. They sound very good. Maybe a bit more bass than the other ones had, because the Sennheisers are usually pretty flat. These ones have a little bit more of a pronounced bass to them, which is not necessarily bad. So that's something new. I've also I've grabbed a set of these. I don't know if you guys ever tried these. Black Mountain flat picks. It's interesting because they have cork. They have cork in the center of them. And basically they're made of tagua. I don't know if you know what that is. That's basically, it's actually a plant. It's kind of, they call it vegetable ivory. Excuse me. So no animals were harmed making these picks. They're pretty cool because look, they have cork on either side. I don't know how long they're gonna last. I've never really tried these before. These are kind of marketed for acoustic instruments more than electric. They're pretty thick. If you look at the thickness there, pretty thick. But they have a cool feel to them because it does feel like ivory. I haven't tried it on my acoustic guitar yet, and I'm trying to get used to playing them on my electric guitar. I mean, they feel okay. I'm used to playing thicker picks. So they play nice. What I've noticed though is I actually sometimes the cork will snag. Like I actually go pretty deep with the pick. So if you're shoving the pick deep in your strings, I'll actually go past where the cork is sometimes. But in a way, it's good because it's kind of training me not to go so deep with the pick. Kind of stay a little bit closer to the top, and to actually pick a little bit softer. I pick pretty hard normally. So I have to be a little bit more gentle with the picking. So check them out if you're an acoustic player. They're pretty good. They're not that expensive. I mean, for a pack of 4, I'm thinking it's like 30 bucks maybe, a little less than that. So that's pretty cool. Grippy picks. And also I mentioned the Amp Academy Stomp, which is on my desk right now. Can't really see it, but it's here. And I'm finishing up a review on that for you guys as well. Nice little unit to play around with. Other than that, I think that's it for this week. That's well, and this guy, the little amplifier as well. So I'll be doing reviews on all that good stuff for you guys as well, if you're interested. I don't have a particular order of preference, but eventually I'll get to them. And what else did I want to say? I don't have any guitars that I've picked up this week or anything like that. I did do a little house cleaning earlier this week, and I actually decided to finally organize my stands in the back. So now I have all my acoustic guitars on one side and all the other guitars on the other side. So what I discovered is that I need more room for the Telecasters. There's too many. There's 7 in that stand right now. And the stand is only supposed to hold 5 guitars. But I do crazy anal shit like that sometimes just because it gets to me. A feathery touch is key, Shane. You definitely need a feathery touch. I think that is one thing that a lot of people overlook sometimes. And you definitely, I think, play better if your hand is relaxed and your wrist is relaxed instead of, stiffening up so much. So yeah, I agree. Hey guys, if you don't mind giving me some thumbs up, that would be great. We have 50 people watching, 27 thumbs up. A few more wouldn't hurt. JP's asking why we never see play with an acoustic guitar. Why you never see me playing with an acoustic guitar? That's not true. I do from time to time. I have some reviews on some acoustic guitars, and I do play my acoustics on the live show from time to time. It's just because I usually don't keep my acoustic guitars lying around that much, and the electrics are easier to grab and plug in. When I'm like let's say I'm playing live and I gotta make you hear my acoustic guitar, I would have to like mic it up for you to be able to hear it. Otherwise, it's just going through the lapel mic, which doesn't sound that great. Unless I have an acoustic that has a preamp that I can plug into the interface. But I can play more. I think a lot of people here are not really that interested in acoustic guitars, not as much as electrics, anyways. Shane says there's a 30-minute video giving a scientific analysis full with graphics about how Yngwie picks his guitar. I've seen those before, Shane. There's actually one like that for Eddie Van Halen as well. It's pretty cool, but it's hard to emulate. Picking style is kind of unique. Like you kind of establish your picking style very early on when you play guitar. And it could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing, because eventually, like you're that's a very difficult habit to break. And I watched the one with Eddie Van Halen's picking technique, and the guy's breaking it down into how he does the fast picking. You know, Eddie would do the crazy fast picking that I can't do, where he's doing, I can't even do it with this pick. Forget about with this pick. You need a very thin pick. These picks are even too thick. Anyways, he does this thing where he holds his hand like this, his knuckles like this, and he does like a fanning technique really, really fast. You know, when he does the flat picking, and he holds the pick in a special way. And I can't do it because it's at an angle and everything. It's an Eddie thing. So I can't play that way. And you know, I've established a picking technique very early on where I like to rest my hand on the bridge. And if you have Floyd Rose on your guitar, well, you're screwed because you can't really rest your hand on there. So whenever I play in a Floyd Rose guitar or a guitar with a Floyd Rose, I got to move my hand in and I got to raise it off the strings, which I'm not used to doing. So it throws all of my picking off. You know what I mean? So these are all things that, you know, it's your own personal style. Some people will pick with their hand open, like I do that sometimes, where I fan my fingers, which is not necessarily good technique. A lot of people who play like jazz and, you know, are very, have really good technique and are skilled players will keep their fingers in, you know, keep their hands basically closed up. And they have a lot of, there's a lot of ways where you can basically pick without too much effort, like keep your picks next to the strings so you're not having wide movements. The movements are very small and subtle. You know, economy picking and all that stuff. There's a lot of great stuff that you can learn, and I can surely get better at playing all that stuff and concentrating on the picking hand. But at this stage in the game, it's kind of late for me. Kevin's asking a question. He says, Tony, you've reviewed several drum looper pedals and they all seem to be the best until the next one. That is kind of true. I'm interested in the Flamma FF20. Give me your choice. Thanks. Oh man, there's so, like I said, there's so many great ones. If I had to buy one now, because there's new ones coming out every day. You know, first of all, are you more interested in getting a good looper or a good drum sounds? Because sometimes they don't work hand in hand. Like you'll get a nice looping functionality, but the drums sound like you know, or the other way around. The Flamma's okay. I like the NuX, the one that I reviewed. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's good. Right now, I had my eye on the Jam Buddy. I think it's the version 2 that they came out with. And don't mix that up with the Jam Buddy from Joyo. It's not that one. Where is it? And if you're looking at stuff like that, be open to newer models, because every time that's the issue with those things. Every time there's a new one out, it's better. I also, there's the Moore has one that I reviewed recently, the Flamma one. I think even Joyo has one. NuX has. They all have them. So it really depends on what you're looking for in terms of like, what do you want more? A good looper? For me, a looper that's good, I'm going to be honest with you, it's simplicity. The simpler the looper, the better it is for me. I like even the TC Electronic little looper pedal. It doesn't have drums built in, but in terms of looping functionality, to me that one is great because it's simple. You can't mess it up. Sometimes when you have too many options, it just becomes too complicated. Hold on. So the one I liked a lot was the NUX JTC unit. It's a little bit of a bigger unit. It's a little bit more expensive, but it works really, really well, in my opinion. Has nice sounds. But there's new stuff coming out every day, man. Music and Gear says, Tony, I'm going down that road right now. Thinner picks are hard to pick fast. Been using 1.5 to 2 millimeter picks to pick faster. Yeah. Eddie used to use really thin picks, by the way. Do I have my picks here? I'll select the picks depending on what I'm trying to get out of them. But the ones that I use most of the time, and I've gone through all of them, thick, thin, all that good stuff, and I'll jump around depending on my mood. I won't necessarily stick with one. These ones are pretty good. These are the Nile Flex picks that are made by Diodario. These are pretty thin. I don't know if you can see those. You can bend them nice and easy. For faster picking, you can pick a little quicker with these because they flex. The other ones don't, you know. And I like these because you can do you can really dig in, and you don't have to worry about like breaking your strings off, you know. Never used Band in a Box. That's an old software, isn't it, Daniel? I remember it though. The Moore GL200 is a good looper with decent drum sounds that I like. Yeah, the Moore is pretty good too, like I said. Yeah, the Jam Buddy is the cream of the crop right now. And that's basically if you're looking at like top-notch drum sounds. You know, if I had to get one based on drums, that would be the one. But like you said, pretty expensive, Paul. I'm just scrolling back and forth to see whether or not I missed any comments. I probably did. Paul had a comment here. He says, pedal of the week. Let me get that on the screen. Drunk Beaver Trainer. I love the name. Drunk Beaver Trainer TS 110. 70s trainer amps. Pre-duplicated in a box. Impressively dynamic and touch sensitive. And ballsy. 175 bucks. Love the name. Nothing better than a drunk beaver. That's funny. I wonder if it's a Canadian company that made that one. Just going by the name. Cool Tune says, Tony, met a guy at the Tampa Guitar Show. Talked to him long while he ended up being a guy named Tony Bruno. He does handmade amps. Anyone ever heard of them? Not really. I mean, I've heard of the name Tony Bruno, but I don't think we're talking about the same guy. I'd have to check him out. Let me scroll a little bit, guys. In the meantime, guys, if you haven't already voted on the poll question, take a look. And just take a moment, maybe cast your vote there. It's funny because when I was talking about this little guy, this little amplifier, it's got a lot of bass. Like it hits you in the chest. And that's something I wasn't expecting. Music and Gear says the VHT power amps with ADA MP1s were behind many of the Marshall stacks back in the day on stage. Yes, indeed they were. The MP1s were very very popular because they were solid state, right? They wouldn't die on you mid show. Cool. Rex says I played a Cherry Burst Guild D140, about $900 guitar, made in China. While we were traveling in England, I was surprised how nice it played and the tone. I have an old Guild F3012. Very cool. All right, guys. Shane says, I tried to be a drunk beaver trainer back in college. Wouldn't try it in this day and age. Okay, we're going down that road, I can see. David's saying, I'm trying to decide if I should keep my picking hand in a fist or if I stick my pinky out like I'm holding a cup of tea. I know what you mean, this little thing. I would say if you can keep your hand in a bunch, probably better technique overall. I should have learned how to play it that way back when, but like I said, I think it's a little bit too late for me. I anchor my pinky also when playing. Sometimes I'll just, I end up touching the pick guard with these fingers, and I kind of keep them loose. Like sometimes I'll keep them bunched up, but other times I'll just. Also, when you have your hands open, your fingers open, you can play with the volume. When you're doing this, then you gotta do this. Whereas if you can keep them open and then just ride, the like that. So this is why I love playing guitar, guys, because there's so many nuances in playing style, playing technique, and all that kind of stuff. You're never gonna really stop learning how to play or getting better. It's just one of those things. You can just keep it going forever. All right, guys, let's get to a couple of interesting items I wanted to talk about today. So, a couple of things. First of all, we did learn this week, I think it was, or maybe last week. I keep losing track because there's so many things happening so quickly. The famous pedal builder, Bill Finnegan, the guy who basically created the Klon Centaur. He's been in the news, the whole Behringer thing, all that stuff. But he's also in the news quite often because he ends up selling pedals that he builds once in a while. And they end up at auction, usually eBay or something like that. And it's always a hoopla whenever that happens. People freak out. And so now I heard that he's done it again. So if you're, a collector and you're dreaming of owning this, handcrafted pedal that's made by the original builder, you can bid on it. And it was supposed to be November 2nd, I think, where it went online. I don't think it's probably already sold. I'm pretty sure it's already gone. But anyway, I don't know how much it sold for. And if you wanted to buy one, that was your chance. The pedals are famous. You know how famous they are, but it's crazy how much people are willing to pay for this. And I wanted to ask you guys if anybody spotted like how much it sold for, because I wasn't really keeping track of it. Anybody know? I gotta admit, I don't usually lurk around eBay anymore. It's been a long time since I stopped buying and selling stuff on eBay, so I don't really even like look at it that much. I'm just trying to see if I can find information on how much it sold for. Let me see if I can do a little search. Anybody? Nobody knows. I can't find it. I'm curious. Anyway, if it's still available and the auction hasn't ended, you can still grab it. But you can also just grab a Behringer for like what, $69 or something like that. Sounds the same. We're not gonna go down that avenue, but I think you know where I'm getting at with all of this. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. I saw a really cool video of Angus and the boys from AC/DC recently, and they've announced their 2026 tour with a 21 dates confirmed so far. I'm wondering if you guys would be interested in checking that out. 20 dates. This might be the last one, guys. I know I keep saying that every year, but it seems like they have another one in them. But I have a feeling that, the boys are not getting any younger. This might be the last one. Who knows? A lot of people were asking that commenting that they should bring back Phil Rudd, the original drummer. I'd like to see Phil back, but apparently, he still has issues. I don't know if it's drinking or drug related or anything. But apparently, I don't think he's slated to appear on that tour. But it's still good to see the boys going. It's going to be a sad day when they have to stop. Also, recently, here locally, I don't know if any of you guys know who this guy is. I mean, he's a local guitar hero, Frank Marino, Mahogany Rush, and he was spotted on stage. This is for the first time in over 10 years after battling a long illness where he wasn't able to play. It's pretty cool to see the guy back on stage. He had a very, very cool technique, heavily influenced by people like Jimi Hendrix, Gene Krupa, all these guys. And if he's coming back, that's pretty cool. I'd love to have him back on stage. And, a handful of people, well, not a handful, a little bit more than a handful, got to take in that show. That must have been pretty awesome. I agree with you, Vox. Any day you can see Angus play guitar is a great day. Absolutely. And Shane, you're right. Drummers do get beat up really bad. Adam Clayton from U2, he wasn't able to play the last run of concerts when they were playing at the Sphere in Las Vegas. He mentioned that he was having all kinds of issues and parts were basically failing when he was referring to his body parts, because it does take a beating. You're basically pounding on those drums every single day or every single night, and eventually things start to fail. And mind you, these guys are not spring chickens anymore also, right? So there's that. Wayne is saying, I'm loving the shit out of my new, to me, BMG Red Special for $1,000. It's a great guitar. Well, I'm glad you love it, dude. nothing, there's nothing that makes me happier than hearing somebody say, I have this guitar and I don't care how much you paid for it. At the end of the day, it could be $1,000, it could be $300, it could be whatever, 6,000. I don't really care. But for somebody that comes here and tells me, dude, I'm loving my guitar, that's basically what counts. It's not the price tag, what you paid for it. It's, do you love it? Yes or no? And I love to hear that. So play the shit out of that thing, Wayne. Yeah, sorry, Shane. I'm mixing them up. Adam Clayton is the bassist. You're correct. Larry Mullen. Yeah, that's the name. Sorry, man. Brain fart on that one. But I guess you knew what I was saying. Sometimes I say funny things. All right. Beyond that, I wanted to also mention some other good news, and I want you guys to pipe in on this one because I feel a little bit torn on this piece of news. So you guys know that the Tube Screamer, Ibanez Tube Screamer, has been around for ages. It's probably one of the most popular or famous pedal out there. A lot of people use them. And recently heard that the original creator of the Tube Screamer, Mr. Tamura, is making the next evolution, in air quotes, of that pedal. And he's doing it for Totally Wicked Audio. This is a different brand. He's not doing it for Ibanez. It's a different pedal brand altogether. And this pedal is called the Source Code Overdrive. So now I'm wondering, okay, how different is it going to be? How expensive is it going to be? When's it coming out? All that good stuff. And the main question I want to ask you guys is, do we need another Tube Screamer? This pedal will retail for about $300. And you can buy it from Totally Wicked Audio. They have their website where you can buy it online. They call it the Grown Up Pro Tube Screamer. So I'm holding my breath on this one, guys, because I don't know how many times, I've heard the word Tube Screamer and they're talking about, okay, this one is the best. This one is the ultimate. And there's always another one after that one. So have you heard of this? Are you interested? Is it like a meh moment? Like, okay, another Tube Screamer, big whoop. Has that ship sailed already for you guys? Because what they're basically saying is, they're quoted as saying it delivers the original TS-808 style voicing, but you get more. But wait, there's more type of thing. They say it's more versatile, more player friendly, or the format is more player friendly, whatever that means. And it's the next gen Tube Screamer. So I don't know. To me, it's like it's a different pedal, but they're just banking in on the Tube Screamer name. Mind you, I don't think they're like, the Tube Screamer name doesn't appear on the actual pedal. Otherwise, they'd get sued. So, it's a totally different name, but they're banking on the fact that you're going to recognize the builder and automatically associate it with him. And because his name does appear on the front of the pedal and it's green. So, it's alluding to what it is in terms of its DNA. I don't know, man. Of course, it depends on how it sounds. You don't need another one if it's too close sonically. I agree with you, Vox. But then that leads to my question, is it even a Tube Screamer if it doesn't sound like it? And if so, why are we paying $300 for it? You know what I mean? That kind of thing. And Music and Gear says, if it does the job and pushes the front end of the amp the way you like it, then yes, $300 is good. True, but there's a lot of other pedals that do exactly the same thing. I don't know, man. Paul says, I've bought 3 clones, all crap. I now have the $50 USD Sonic Cake Trio Rider clone and love it. You got to find the right one, Paul. I mean, me too. I have a whole bunch of pedals that claim to be clones. I have cheap ones, budget ones, expensive ones, one-to-one copies. They're all different. And I don't necessarily, enjoy playing all of them either. So there's going to be a few that I'm going to sell shortly. I was planning on doing a spring cleanup, but the spring cleanup is being pushed now to Christmas time, probably. I mentioned to you guys that I got this guy recently, right? I showed you this last time. This is the Nobles ODR one. I love this pedal. I think I like this pedal more than a Tube Screamer, to be honest. This guy. If I had to choose, I'd grab this guy right now. I had the original. I had the Tube Screamer, a couple of different versions actually, and I ended up selling them all. How about you guys? Anybody here hasn't tried a Tube Screamer yet, or is not interested at all? My springs are pretty dirty, man. They're pretty dirty. They need cleaning. Bon Jovi is going out on another tour as well. I forgot to mention that. I'm wondering if Phil X is going to be joining the boys or not. He hasn't really mentioned straight out that he would be or not. I hope he does. I like Phil. I haven't read anything regarding Richie going back with the band or anything like that, so still don't know. Hey Shane, thanks for dropping in, man. Take it easy, boys. Enjoy your it's already 1:30 there? Man, that's late. Get your beauty sleep, dude. You don't want to have bags under your eyes. Yeah, the GHS Bonsai has the 6 Tube Screamers in it. Yeah. If you really want to get a Tube Screamer, maybe that's the best option so you can actually try all of them. There's a lot of choice out there, guys, when it comes to Tube Screamers. This is what I'm trying to say. So, I noticed this week that Jack White accepted his Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction alone. Meg didn't appear, apparently. She was a no-show. I wonder why. A lot of people don't feel very warm and fuzzy when it comes to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I've heard so many artists complain about the fact that, the way the actual Hall of Fame induction is handled is pretty rough for the actual artists. They have to fly in and pay for their own crew to be flown in. Apparently, they have to perform, and they have to perform for free, basically. So basically, the Hall of Fame is making all the money and just piggybacking on the efforts of the artist once again. So David doesn't like the Tube Screamer. You're not a Tube Screamer guy, David. He likes the Boss ODs. A lot of people do like the Boss ODs. I had the Vox says I have the two TS knockoffs of Behringer TO800, Bad Monkey. I don't find either go quite far enough, so I stack them. That's a common issue that a lot of people complain about, is that the Tube Screamer doesn't get them far enough because it's technically designed to push an already like a edge of breakup amp. Not necessarily. It's not necessarily supposed to give you like that distortion. You know what I mean? Danielle never tried a tube screamer, never got into distortion pedals of any kind. Well, maybe this year is the year, Daniel. So Paul says the new TS is out now. I reviewed it. It's a pleasant enough pedal, but it's entirely different sounding. Save your money, don't bother. Yeah, like I've been looking at a lot of different things in terms of pedals lately, and I've been staying clear of like drive pedals and stuff. I think I have plenty of those. I shouldn't necessarily need to buy another one, as he says while holding up this guy here, But basically, if anything, I'm focusing a little bit more on reverb, delay, EQ. A good EQ pedal is a must, and a boost pedal. And I kind of have those areas covered already. So I'm not really scouring too hard. Sometimes I do get tempted with something new, Like the other day, I was finding myself watching some Strymon videos, trying to figure out, if I should buy or invest in a Strymon reverb pedal as opposed to what I already have. And I'm like, nah, I think what I have cuts it. I don't really think I need to spend another $400 on a Strymon, Doesn't make any sense. The ones I have here, I have the Hall of Fame 2 by TC Electronic, as well as the flashback for delay. It does the job. I mean, there's better pedals out there, but for the amount of time I actually use them, I don't think I need to spend that much anymore on those pedals. But don't quote me on that. There's always going to be something that's going to pop up and tease me a little bit, tickle my fancy. All right. What else besides the? Do we want to look at the poll question, or do we wait a little bit on that? One other article that actually caught my attention this week, which was quite interesting, was an article, and they were basically interviewing Wolfgang Van Halen. And it's funny because we're thinking, if you're an artist, if you're a performer, you get up on stage, you live for performing, that is what you're looking for or looking towards 24/7. You want to get up on stage and play. But it's funny because this article was talking about Wolfgang's massive panic attack, where he was gonna be playing live. He was doing a show with the boys from Metallica. They were going to be opening for Metallica in Mexico, I think it was. This was 2024, I believe. And he had a massive panic attack. Now, what's worse if you're an artist playing in front of a stage, an audience on stage, and that's where you make your bread and butter, and you're dealing with a panic attack? That's terrifying, right? I don't know if any of you ever had a panic attack or not, but I know that people who do suffer from these kind of things, it's debilitating, right? It's like you feel like you're having a heart attack. You feel like you're gonna die. Even though you're not gonna die, you don't know that your body doesn't know the difference. It's reacting the same way. And he goes in detail talking about this and talking about how much how difficult it was to get through it, and you have no choice. You're on stage, and I think Wolfgang has other issues. I think he mentioned he's a nervous flyer, also, stress, all that kind of thing, different time zones, different altitudes, all these things you don't really think about when you're standing in the audience, right? If you paid your hard-earned money, in the words of Samity Sam, I paid my two bits to see the high diving act, and I want to see the high diving act. And you don't care what the performer is getting, trying to get through or feeling that particular day. If you got a bug, you're not feeling well, you got a headache, you got a migraine, the show must go on, man. And this is why I think a lot of these artists eventually get hooked on drugs, just to get through these situations where you gotta get through it. You gotta get through it regardless. So give me the good stuff, kind of thing. And eventually they come to rely on it. In the old days, it was mostly alcohol, alcohol, cheaper drugs, that kind of thing. Today, there's pretty potent stuff out there. So it was just eye opening to read that article and to see that these guys are human after all. Daniel says, I find diet is critical. Wrong foods and beverages, and I can't get relaxed for 100%. I mean, food basically. The way I look at food, guys, and this is not a nutrition show or anything like that. Check with your doctor. But basically, food is poison. Anything you put in your body in terms of food these days is poison to a certain degree. Yet you need to eat to survive. But in the old days, when everything was organic and food wasn't processed and all that good stuff that they throw in our food didn't exist in terms of chemicals, coloring, products to keep the shelf life going and all that stuff, it was less of an issue. But today, everything that you eat, almost everything you eat, has something bad in it for you, unless your diet is very, very strict. So it's like you're poisoning yourself every day, a few times a day, gradually. So you got to really pay attention and put the right stuff in there. You can't run, a turbocharged engine on 2 cylinders. All right, let's look at the poll question, boys. Why not do that now? Hope you guys voted. And if you guys don't know where to find that, as I mentioned, most of the time it is in the community section of our website. Well, the website I'm referring to is YouTube, of course. And they like to move things around. I don't know why they do that. From time to time, they just move things around all the time. They make it more complicated. But if you go to the community section, it's in there. So we had about 140 votes, good polling this week. And the question was, which gear myth do you secretly think might actually be true? And I listed 4. So in no particular order, the choices were tone really is in the fingers, tube amps always sound better, expensive cables make a difference, and pedal order can make or break your tone. So I use the guitar myth in air quotes because in my opinion, none of these are really myths in my opinion. But I wanted to throw that in there. Hey, Alex, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate that. Alex says he loves watching the show. Great, man. Thank you. So yeah, going back to the poll question. So to me, none of these are actual myths. So I kind of tricked you there, I think. Because I honestly do believe that there's truth in all of these, all 4. Some more than others, okay? So it depends on what your take is on this stuff. Give me 1 second here. Basically, 57% of you said tone is really in the fingers. I think that's absolutely true, no matter what. You can have the best gear in the world, but if you don't have that tone, it is what it is. I mean, Stevie Ray Vaughan had it, Eric Clapton had it, all the big players had it. They all had their own tone, their own style, and no amount of gear is going to give you that tone. You can buy the Stevie Ray Vaughan tribute Stratocaster and plug through the same stuff he played, and you won't sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan. All right, so I'm going to say that is the ultimate truth. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it is true. Give me 1 second. You just have to. Okay, so that is number one, and it's no surprise to me that 57% of you chose that as the number one answer, because I think that is the most obvious. The second most popular question here is pedal order can make or break your tone. And so basically that is true as well. How critical is that? I think that makes a huge difference in your tone. If you put the pedals in the wrong order, your tone's going to sound like crap, right? There are certain basic rules to follow, and at the end of it, there's a little bit more that you can do in terms of global tone, but the pedal order is critical. You don't want to do certain, let's say, you don't want to break certain rules in terms of pedal order. So 20% of you said that is the correct answer. After that, 16% of you said tube amps always sound better. So that one is a little bit tricky. I wouldn't say always. Most of the time, I would agree, tubes amps, for me at least, often sound better. There are some pretty good sounding transistor amps out there as well. Depends what you're comparing them to. But I tend to agree that if I had to vote, my vote would go more towards tube amps, okay? And then finally, 7% of you said expensive cables make a difference. Now, I know that this is more of a minor thing. Like, at the end of the day, if you're really, really paying attention to the tone and comparing one cable to another cable, you'll hear the difference. It definitely does make a difference. How much of a difference? At the end of the day, once the drummer kicks in, that's negligible. That is really like, at the end of the day, if you're really like a cork sniffer and you really, really have to have the best of the best, then you'll go down to details like that, type of cables. And, you could even, some people are even like claim to be able to hear the difference in terms of the batteries that they're using inside of the pedals, and if it's a fresh battery or not, that kind of thing, But these are the type of things that you will probably notice nobody else will. So, take that with a grain of salt. But overall, I think that these are not gear myths, in my opinion. So I'd like to hear some of your comments. I'll read a couple of them here. And so Vinny's World says, I think tone is in the fingers. It's a matter of perspective rather than myth. While not as pronounced as, say, an acoustic guitar, the way you fret and pluck the strings do affect tonality. Absolutely, 100%. Equally, running the signal through different effects and speakers, etc., also has a major effect on tonality in electric guitar. It boils down to whether you focus on the input side or the output side, and assuming we are only talking about players that have at least somewhat of technically some sort of technical proficiency. And I agree with that. 100% tones in the fingers. I'm convinced. Then someone says you can't beat the responsiveness and tone out of a great tube amp. And that is also true. I think the tube amp has a natural sag to it, a natural warmth to it, and it does have a certain degree of responsiveness. That it's a different flavor when you go transistor, and you do hear it. If you play them side by side, you will notice that. terms of dynamics and all that kind of stuff. Rex says, wanted to go with tube amps, but knowing how friend Carrie can capture a familiar tone with just a few notes, I think it is in the fingers. Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of things for sure, but definitely in the fingers, I would say. And then we have Paul here. Paul says, fingers supply nuance and dynamics, not tone. The tube amps vary, but modelers are a second generation of the best tube amps. So it would be like saying a perfect wax figure of a person is better than the person. Expensive cables are not better than any quality budget cable. 12 Fret published an extensive test, and the best was price, but the cheapest was only a fraction worse. In a listening test, they came out even. So basically, he's saying that, don't waste your money on things that are minor. I agree with that. I mean, there is a difference in terms of cables. There will be a difference, but we're applying the formula of diminishing returns, just like in hi-fi equipment and all that kind of stuff. To a certain point, unless you're using really garbage cables, the difference won't be that much. At the end of the day, it'll be like, fractions of a percentage better, let's say. But it will be different. It will be better. So don't spend, basically what he's saying is don't spend your money, your hard-earned money on something where people won't notice it as much. All right, thank you guys for voting on that. I always do enjoy the poll questions. Daniel says, I usually watch the Wednesday evening Frank Vengola Guitar Night Show. He always sounds great even when he's just playing a very simple melody. He normally plugs directly into a Princeton reverb amp. There's a lot of people that do that, man. Uncle Larry, if you ever watch the Uncle Larry channel, he usually just plugs into a Princeton behind him. He's got a great tone in his fingers. He really knows how to play. And Vox says, if I set up my rig to sound good and cut through with the band, if I leave the settings the same and play solo, it's really got a ton of treble, like ice pick treble. That's normal, Vox. In a live situation, you need that cut. But when you bring that back home, it doesn't sound good. This is one of the things that a lot of people do wrong when they're setting up a multi-effects unit or something like that. I've experienced that in the past as well, and I'll explain that to you in a second. In my opinion, one of the wrong approach to setting your sounds, like if you're using something like a Kemper, Axe FX, whatever you're using, doesn't really matter, is that most people will set the sound to sound good at home when you're playing alone, before you're actually going out and meeting up with the boys to play or rehearse or do a show. Doing it that way won't work when you're in a band situation, because your frequency response is not going to be in the right place to cut through the mix. So what you can do, one thing that you can do a lot of different things, but one thing that you can do, if your unit has a global EQ, some of these units now have the option of setting your EQ and saving EQ settings, the global EQ settings. So you can set your sound at home, make it sound good when you're playing alone. Then when you go to a live scenario or a rehearsal, go into the global EQ settings and give yourself a nice little push in the midsection of your EQ. That's generally where you need to push for the guitar to cut through the mix. Find the right frequencies when you're in the band situation and save that EQ setting so that you don't have to retweak all of your patches for sounding good when you're playing live and then it doesn't sound good when you're back home. That way you can instantly switch, Hopefully your unit will be able to save that and you can recall it really quick. And then you're going to be able to hear yourself, and you're going to be able to cut through the mix very easily. But that's a lot of, this is why I say over and over again, an EQ pedal is a must when you're playing with a band, because you won't be able to do that very easily without an EQ pedal. EQ pedal makes it really, really simple. So, experiment with that global EQ in your multi-effects unit, and it's going to become your best friend. All right, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up now. I've been talking quite a while. Unless you guys have some other questions you want to ask before I run. I hear that it's already started to snow over here. Fantastic. Can't wait to see that. What a mess. Anyways, guys, Justin R says, I run an EQ before the preamp and after. That's like a lot of tweaking. But yeah, it makes sense if you can do that, tweak both ends. ZD351 says, tell me again the story of the guy that played through the famous guy's rig and sounded exactly like the famous guy when he did it. Yeah, there is no story like that. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up then. If you guys don't have any other questions, it was a pleasure for me to spend another Sunday morning with you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please consider leaving a thumbs up on the way out. I would appreciate that as well. And there will be some other reviews happening this week, namely the Amp Academy Stomp and some other goodies. So please take an opportunity to watch that, okay? Give me your feedback on that. I really do appreciate it. In the meantime, if it's snowing in your area, guys, please be careful on the roads, especially the first few snowfalls when nobody has winter tires on. Not a good time to be out there. So please be careful. We want to see you back here next Sunday, all right? That's it for now. Stay tuned for the next one. Next Sunday, same time, same place. And save your questions. So we'll have a nice full Sunday show next week as well. All right, guys? Take care. Go play your instruments. Go play some guitar. See you soon.